find the answers in a crystal ball. It's like hunting for love. So I said to the gypsy lady, why are you lying to me? And she said, I'm only showing you what you wanna see. Well, lady, it's good enough for me. Love is like a butterfly in a strong wind, never landing on the same flower again. Love is like a butterfly in a strong wind. Don't chase it, you won't make it, my friend. Don't chase it, you won't make it, my friend. Lying on a sandy beach, looking up to the sky, I saw a strange light passing by. So I said to the girl beside me, what's that over there? She said, I don't see it, and I don't really care. Well, lady, I guess I shouldn't be here. Love is like a butterfly in a strong wind, never landing on the same flower again. Love is like a butterfly in a strong wind. Don't chase it, you won't make it, my friend. Don't chase it, you won't make it, my friend.
Hello and welcome to another SDAQ&A. I'm your host for today, and this is my special guest, Peter Dixon. This week has been a crazy week. I'm in fact talking to you now from my hotel in Brisbane, and as many of you know, as you've watched the shows this week, you will notice that there have been some things out of sync and out of time. And so the first program this week was with Christopher Mindanao. Go and watch it. It was a really fascinating conversation, but I had to do it a day before our normal first program. I then was traveling up to Brisbane. As you can see, I'm outside here, and I pre-recorded it and then immediately posted it to Facebook and YouTube. And it did go to the Facebook wall, but it, for some reason, disappeared from the YouTube wall. And anyway, next day, and as you know, those who watched earlier today or yesterday, our special gospel good news fellowship program with Frank Merendino had all sorts of delays because I was going live from the actual festival. So it finally happened, and it is a really fantastic message. I didn't realize that this sort of mini program I'll be playing today was not on YouTube. And when I checked a little while ago, it had no views. And I thought, hang on a second. I've uploaded it to the wrong place. So in order to have, the 3 shows this week, Christopher Mindanao, this one here, where I talk a little bit about ad hominem attacks and the imminent return of Jesus, I just ponder those things. We now have it on YouTube, and of course the Frank Merendino one, third in our series. I just wanted to keep, 3 shows a week, and so I've managed to find out a way to share some of this video with you today. I'm going to read a couple of the comments from the source that kind of motivated me, but I want to highlight, as I think I do in the video, that I don't want to be talking about people's names. I really like the person, his mother is an incredible person, and his father and I were very, very good friends. So I definitely don't want this to seem like an attack on this person at all. And I'm only going to play part of the video because I think towards the end of it, I think I was getting a bit passionate about it all. But I'll kind of stop it at that point. And the person deleted the comments and everything anyway, so it's good. No one can go and find out who this mystery person was. I'm just going to share a couple of these thoughts that it wasn't the person. It was some of the thoughts that the concept provoked within me that I wanted to talk about. So it's those things I wanted to talk about. And first was this notion that Adventists default to attacking the player, not the ball. Ad hominem attack, it's called. And the second thing was that currently Adventists are really revved up with the imminent return of Christ. Now, I personally, great, happens tomorrow, that's awesome. 1,000 years, that's fine. And most Adventists I talk to say the same thing. My point is that when Adventists use the phrase imminent return or soon return and directly correlate that with signs of the times, it seems to be, to me, more of an attempt to brand the church in a way that almost scares people to come in. And I'm thinking out loud here. I'd love your thoughts. The point of this conversation is, share some of your experiences in the comments of where you've noticed that you might have raised some questions, and the person that you were challenging, the Adventist that you were challenging on some of their ideas, instead of addressing and replying to those comments, the person suddenly says something to you that's a bit nasty, and they're essentially trying to invalidate what you say because, oh, you're, what makes you so keen to get people to leave the church, and why are you attacking the church? And so I'm interested in if you have felt those ad hominem attacks against you, and B, what do you think about this notion that I'm raising of the imminent return of Jesus? I'm sure the broader Protestant Christian body talk about the return of Christ. The disciples talked about the return of Christ. I think they thought it was going to be in their lifetime. I just think Adventists approach it with a different slant. What do you think about that? Am I right? Am I wrong? I want you to share. So yeah, I'll be playing a little bit of this Pete Ponder's commentary that I had. But again, I paused it halfway through when I realized I don't want to be attacking a person. I don't want to, and I wasn't attacking a person, but by simply reading these comments, people could have found, and they can't now, it's all been deleted, but in some way I was doing a mild ad hominem attack. I was saying, hey, how dare you do this? So I don't want that kind of escalation. I want to talk about the issues. Ellen White says, agitate, agitate, agitate. And, I'm applying that technique. Scrutinize the truth. The truth can withstand scrutiny, surely. Anyway, I'm probably doubling up on what I've said. And I notice people are coming in from the UK. I know it's maybe mid-afternoon for you guys, 2 o'clock or something, 2:30, 2:45. And some early birds in the US of A are waking up and watching. Welcome, everybody. And it's good to see some Aussies, night owls like me. It's after midnight for me, but it's good to see some Aussies and New Zealanders watching. The night owls are up. So hopefully I've explained all that. And essentially, I just want to have 3 programs up. So, yes, let's play a bit of that, and hopefully I haven't doubled up too much. I'll pause it at some point and read a little bit of the reply, the exchange that this person and I had. I also notice that they've requested to rejoin SDAQ&A. They are welcome. I'm very happy to have them back. One last quick thing. When I wrote the comment, I actually mistakenly thought it was on SDA People's Voice, kind of SDAQ&A's sister group, Voice, which I also set up many, many years ago, where people could share their voice if they disagreed with some things within Adventism. And as soon as I realized it actually was on his personal Facebook wall, because I get all these notifications all the time. I just saw a notification, clicked it, thought it was in Voice, thought he was a member over there, banged off my comments, had the bit of back and forth, the argy-bargy. And but when I realized, I went back to actually delete it myself and found it was already gone. And anyway, so here we are. And then, so I'll play a bit of the video, about 6 minutes, have a quick chat about the comments, and then I'm going to look at your comments. So I'll be having a think about the imminent return of Jesus. Adventists have a slant on it that's a little bit of a fear tactic maybe, or a bit of an angle to get people into the religion. And what are your thoughts on when Adventists, when challenged or confronted with some hard questions, prefer to attack you, not what you've said? Okay, now I'm please let me know in the comments if you can hear the voice, the sound on the playback, because earlier when I tried, there was no sound. So just let me know in the comments pretty soon so I don't just play it for ages. Hi, and welcome to another SDA Q&A. I'm your host for today, Peter Dixon, coming to you live from the beautiful town called Ballina in North New South Wales. Now, yeah, I think I said coming to you live, but unfortunately I've had problems with going to restream live on my mobile. So I'm going to quickly record this short program for today and upload it to Facebook and YouTube, hopefully in enough time for you guys to watch it today in our normal time slot. So yeah, I'm heading up to a festival in Brisbane. And as you can see, this is a nice place to stop on the way. Did most of the journey yesterday and got another 3 or 4 hours today. So part of me was going to just cancel today, but I thought, look, so many of us like to get together every week and have the routine catch up here at SDA Q&A. So I thought, no, I'm going to go and post something so we can keep the momentum going. And it's certainly been an incredible journey with you guys as we shine a light of scrutiny on the Seventh-day Adventist Church. And of course, truth can withstand scrutiny. A friend of mine wrote a post this morning, I think, or last night, and I call him a friend even though he and I disagree quite profoundly on a number of things to do with theology. But he's a great guy, a great father, and is raising a really wonderful family. And I truly believe that he, is sincere in his beliefs and thoughts and posts. And he wrote, so what I'm going to say is a little bit of a rebuttal to a post he wrote, and just a kind of reminder to him that Adventists default to attacking the person rather than addressing the claim or the rebuttal that is made. So he wrote a post about, we're really living in these last days. The Lord is about to return any minute, and you can just tell by the signs and times of the world that this return is imminent. I wish I could bring up on exactly what he wrote, but I can't video at the same time as read it. But I might cut and paste into the comments later the exact wording. But I paraphrase. Essentially, he was saying we're near the end of time. He's wanting to offer some Bible studies with people to help them understand what it all means, how Seventh-day Adventists approach this concept of being ready. And I wrote and said, look, genuine question, if this imminent return, I can't remember the exact words he used, but I said, does that have a use by date? If you're using that to help brand and motivate people to be impressed or to join the Seventh-day Adventist Church, be ready because any minute he's coming back. The Adventist Church has been saying this for 181 years. Does there come a time when the Adventist apologist must say, I don't know if we can call it imminent anymore, particularly if they're using that as a strategy to build the membership and to get people to notice the church. Because I said that, is there a number? I want to know, if it was another 500 years, would you still say it's imminent? I've mentioned several times on the program that my mother found a letter from her grandmother, so what's that, my great-great-grandmother, in 1895, that she had sent to her son. and she was talking about the incredible flu plague virus that was going around Europe, killing millions of people, I think it was. Her son was off at the war. She was writing to him at this war, and she said, look, the Lord's return is any day. And she was writing with great love to her son. Of course, she was a Seventh-day Adventist, and she was wanting to let him know that he was in her thoughts, and that she wished him well, and to have no fear, to stand strong, that the signs of the times were truly showing that the Lord was about to return. So that's 1895. So it's okay, I think the Bible talks about the apostles thinking Jesus was coming soon, but they never used that as their branding technique to encourage people to join the Christian movement. So of course, when you say this to Adventists, is there a time frame when you would stop using the word imminent as your branding strategy to get more interest in your church and build the church? And I have no doubt of the sincerity of your claim. You do think it is imminent. However, when I wrote my reply, instead of kind of having a dialogue with that particular question, he said, so, can you guys hear me again? We're going to leave that video there. It only goes for another maybe 5 or 10 minutes, but I got a little bit sidetracked, and I'm glad now that the posts and comments have all been deleted, not by me, and I'm glad when I realized that it was not in the voice group that I'd written on someone's personal wall. I would hate if someone did that to me. So yeah, so I went to take the comments down, and they'd already been taken down, and that's when I realized that it was on the personal wall. I think that's the timing of it. So anyway, this person wrote to me. So the question I'd asked, I've outlined there about the imminent return. I'm interested in your thoughts on how Adventists use that soon return and the signs. And I mentioned my great-grandmother that, was writing to her son, I guess imploring him to keep the Adventist faith that the Lord's return was very soon, and that was 1895. Now, that's a blood relative of mine. I'm not mocking them. I'm just going, are Adventists being hoodwinked by just constantly being told that it's soon and soon and soon? I think it messed with me. Did it mess with you? I'm interested in your thoughts. Anyway, the next part of the conversation I wanted to ponder was his response. So I'd asked him the question about the imminent return, and see if you can pick up the subtle, nuanced Adventist apologist kind of reply. God be glorified through you and your ministry, Peter, even if it is in opposition to the word of God. And he adds, in its ministry of reconciliation, as in God's ministry of reconciliation. I'm in opposition to that. And I wrote back and said, well, that's a very, very bold claim, and all the while avoids answering my question. And that was pretty much the end of it. That's when the comments were deleted. So I think in the video, where is it? Over there. I just got a bit annoyed with that. And I don't mind getting annoyed. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But again, it was on his personal wall. I will save my comments if people write here on SDAQ&A on YouTube or over at Facebook. So, yeah, that's about it, really. asked a question. The question wasn't addressed. But this God be glorified through you and your ministry, Peter, even if it is in opposition to the word of God. I just find that nice little Adventist comment followed by the, and you're totally wrong, just indicative not of this person, but of the system that creates this mindset that whenever you feel a bit upset or triggered by someone's questioning of your belief, the Adventist belief, there doesn't appear to be a follow-up. I'm talking about all Adventist apologists, not just this guy. They all seem to go, oh, hang on, got my back up. Say something nice. There's a unique way Adventists do this, and then hit you with the old heave-ho. Hey, love your show, but why are you so keen to destroy the church or to get people to leave? I've said many times, I'm not trying to get people to leave. I'm trying to get those who are asking questions to analyze the data and the evidence and then draw their own conclusions. So if people leave, I respect that. If people stay and have used their grey matter to explore and they stay, good. I'm not even referring to the people that have no doubts or even explore any of that. I'm referring to those who make the bold claims and seem unwilling to then support those claims with evidence when challenged. I'm interested in talking to those. So that is important. That's those people are the ones I'm talking to. And secondly, I'm talking to those who I know are challenged by some of the Adventist questions. And instead of going, let's look at this, they kind of run away and hide. They might do the ad hominem attack. They put their head in the sand. And I'm saying those people who have asked the big questions, all I'm saying is that if you have gone through the process of looking at the data and the evidence, and you have decided and perhaps been willing to dialogue and discuss your process, and you decide to stay, awesome. I respect that. And those who have analysed the data and leave, I respect that too. I do not and am not on a mission to get people to leave. I'm just saying, let's look at this because there are some big claims made by the Adventist Church. I think way bigger than the average Protestant church. The claims the Seventh-day Adventist Church make are huge. That the atonement wasn't completed at the cross. That a special judgment is occurring that has dates lined up to confirm the start of that process. That claims Satan was the scapegoat. That has Jesus presented as a Levitical high priest. That has extra stories added to the Bible, pre the Bible and post the Bible, that Ellen says came to her from God that aren't in the Bible. And the big claim of the close of probation, where Jesus will no longer be a mediator for a short time, and the righteous and the unrighteous, not knowing if they've been saved or not yet, not knowing that the close of probation has occurred for all, for a short time in the time of trouble, must stand sinless, keeping the commandments, all the while with the potential of failing, because they are proving Satan's claim wrong and false. And his claim was that if you continue to remove freedom of choice, God, humans won't keep the commandments. Humans can't keep the commandments. Satan didn't say that. It's not in the Bible. It's a false claim. So my point is there are a lot of big claims that the Adventist Church makes at this time of trouble. The point of proving Satan wrong is to vindicate God. These aren't biblical concepts. They aren't your general grassroots variety Protestant movement denomination claims. Adventists make some very big, bold claims. They are the remnant, the last day people with a message for these last days, where a group will be raised that keep the commandments and have the spirit of prophecy via Ellen G. White. Well, she wasn't a prophet. She was just a messenger. Oh, but she claimed she was more than a prophet. Well, she's just a lesser light. Why do you need a lesser light? Just shine the big light. So yeah, you're getting my point. There are a lot of claims that are big and bold. But as soon as you go to an Adventist apologist, listen, can you explain a little bit in more detail some thoughts on these big, bold claims? And 9 times out of 10, they will say, hey, good to hear from you. And, I really enjoy this, but why, blah, blah, blah. And off they go. And after a while, you realize they've just slandered you, subtly broken commandment number 9 by bearing a false witness. How's that going to help them in the time of trouble? And haven't addressed the actual question. So yeah, look, I've had 10 or 20 ad hominem attacks on me in the last 2 weeks even. And I'm not offended or put out or triggered by any of them. This is not you've hurt my feelings. It's a frustration with, aren't you seeing that you're doing this? And it's not effective. And as soon as you do it, you verify that you have no argument. It's like when it happens again and again and again and again and again and again and again, for years now, particularly in the last 2, I just go, don't you see what you're doing? Is your head that far in the sand? You don't see that even your little comments, well, I choose to stay and make changes from within the church, that they're inferring that, I gave up. I didn't want to try and help. They're just masters at it, and it gets frustrating. Sorry, I'm human. So, yeah, when this particular time occurred, it made me feel like addressing it and commenting about it, but not against that person, against the example that was given, the symptom that was revealed via a person. But honestly, I could have picked one of the 10 or 20 that have occurred in the last couple of weeks easily. Peter, why are you so obsessed with this? Oh, yeah, now you're revealing your true colours. Or you've just got an axe to grind. You're bitter. You're just bitter. None of those things are true. So, yeah, I'm interested in your thoughts, A, on this concept of attacking the player, not the ball, to invalidate what they say. I'm interested in your thoughts on the imminent return of Jesus. Are Adventists using that as a tool to, even inadvertently, it's wired and baked into Adventism to do this. So what are your thoughts on that and any of the other things that I've mentioned that seem to be so big, bold claims that are different to your normal grassroots Protestant church? Adventism makes these bold claims. I'd like to see some of them boldly defend those claims. Let's have some robust conversations about it. I actually have many, many fabulous, fantastic memories of my time as an Adventist. I still continue to enjoy the camaraderie, is that the way you say it? Camaraderie, depending where you're from, with many current Adventists. Some of my best friends are Seventh-day Adventists. I'm really just going, hang on a second, what happened to me for 54 years and 5 generations? What happened? What did I just go through and kind of came out of? Let's look at it. And as I've looked at it, I've seen various claims that don't add up. And when I've asked questions about those claims, no one seems to be able to answer them without getting in attack mode. Am I making any sense? Let me know in the comments. I'm here in my hotel, as I've said, in Brisbane. It's beautiful. Beautiful hotel. You want to see the room? See, the bed's nicely made. Nice little bathroom area. Look at that. What a nice room. Nice little couch behind me there. I'm living it up. So, yeah. What are your thoughts? We'll finish with me reading a few of your comments and questions. And if you're watching this later, please add your comments as well. Just going back here. And Spud writes, I can't read it on the laptop. It's hard to read. Spud from Spartanburg, SC. I so enjoy your channel. So many interesting guests and convos. Thank you. Appreciate that. And Derek writes, my son's Bible class at an SDA high school has spent the last 2 weeks talking about the end times and signs of the times. Lucky I can talk to him about it, but it's so sad. Yeah, I just think this endless loop could be harmful. I think the biblical approach, the gospel approach, the words of Jesus, the teachings of Jesus provide a much more balanced, heartwarming approach to the whole Christian scene. I don't find this fear-mongering is effective. Actually, just saying that word. Dr. CO816, fear-mongering for membership is a familiar brainwash technique, isn't it? I'm still praying Jesus comes today. Wouldn't that be positively lovely? Happy Valentine's Day to me. Amen. Please, Jesus, just come. Yeah, and when you say that, doesn't have an air of fear-mongering at all. Yeah, a familiar brainwash technique. That's interesting. And if you watch my 7 more questions to ask a local SDA pastor with Rodrigo Custodio, I'm not trying to shame and put an Adventist pastor on the spot because I don't think he can answer those questions. I'm highlighting that no one will answer those questions or come on my show or other shows. That's the problem, not the individual squirming because they know if they answer some of those questions, they may lose their job or their standing, or there'll be some pushback. That's not the point, to challenge them with these 7 questions, 14 now, and I think I did one of 7 earlier as well. There's 21 questions. It's not to shame them at all. It's just to point out that none of them, if they're currently employed pastors, will answer those questions publicly. I've had several in the last few weeks since those 2 programs I did with Rodrigo, several say, yeah, I'll come on. And after we've chatted a little bit, they've said, oh, hang on a second. I literally had one guy, literally high up, say, oh, look, hang on a second. Now that I've thought of it, if I said this, I would lose my job. And the irony is another guy who, prior to his retirement, not the guy that spoke to me, the guy that spoke to me and pulled out last minute is currently employed and a pastor and ordained. But another guy who has also said to me, oh, that's ridiculous. You'd lose your job. He works with he worked with this guy, the other guy, and I'm trying to get him to come on the show. And he might, now that he's retired, he might come on because he won't lose his job. But he said that never happens, and that he knows many presidents, conference union, and whatnot that would never fire someone, by sharing their personal views on these things. And I just said, okay, well, give me one name of one of these presidents, and let's ask them to come on the show, or give me one name of their employees, and we'll get them on the show then. If I'm wrong, let's prove it. Let's talk about it. And I will go, well, sorry, guys, I was wrong. Anyway, that's a long way of saying that in the Rodrigo discussion, he pointed out that Adventists don't believe Christ could come any day, as Derek pointed out, that he was hoping, he said, amen, please, Jesus, come. That's kind of a normal Protestant view. But Adventists, boy, I go the long way around to say things. Adventists say Jesus can't come until the Sunday law comes in. And if you're an Adventist and you say, well, I don't believe that, okay, well, come on the show and let's chat about that. Yeah, I think what you're saying is you personally don't believe it, but you can't say it publicly because the church officially does believe it. You don't, but the church does. The church teaches Christ cannot return till the Sunday law comes in and the Sabbath becomes a test of your salvation. So don't tell me that you don't believe it. And, if you don't, come on the show. But I know you won't because, the church officially does teach that. Andy Mack writes, if you're always looking for signs of the times, you will always find them. Yeah, that's true. And Spud Whiteman says, as soon as they resort to ad hominem attacks, you are directly over the target. Well said. That's very well said. Peter, Jesus was oppositional in all his life. Thank you for being in that position. Thank you, Dr. C. Yeah, and I think in the case with this person, I was oppositional on his Facebook wall, thinking it was our private group over at Voice. So I will continue to hold that position. And thank you for supporting my approach. I'm not always oppositional, but I think there's a time for it. I don't think the time was for it on that guy's wall. And when I realized it wasn't, I'm glad that he'd already removed it. Anyway, I would, if someone wrote stuff on my wall, I'd be like, what are you doing? Get out of here. Get over to our private groups for those discussions. Derek writes, the scariest thing for me is how I have family and friends who won't even ask the questions. Yeah. Yes, Derek, good point. So not only have they got no answers, they won't even ask the questions. And Adrian writes, it is very hard to not respond in the same manner as one receives. Yes, yeah, that's what I struggled with. And look, if I played the rest of the video, I doubt you'd say that I was actually mean to the guy at all. I wasn't frustrated with him at all. I was frustrated that I get endless, hundreds over the last few years of these subtle ad hominem attacks with none of the people addressing my question. I respect the traditional Adventist Defence League guys who say, I disagree with that, and they'll have a good challenge and a good argy-bargy. I don't say that I think their approach is effective, but I respect them more than the person who does question in their mind things or who doesn't even believe certain Adventist things, but remain silent in their convictions and their defense of these beliefs, but are happy to lob the old ad hominem little attack over the fence. They're happy to do that. And as soon as you say, come on the show then, whoa, really busy, got lots on, whoa, man. Some people even use that as an ad hominem attack. I've had people say to me, well, some of us are busy, Pete. Some of us actually have real jobs and work to do. Honestly, if you step out of Adventism and you look into it, you see this way more exemplified or intensely than when you're an Adventist. When I was an Adventist, I did the same thing. I hate to admit it. There you go. And Andy Mack writes, by the way, Adrian that wrote before, Adrian Mason, because we've got a couple of Adrians here, just so people knew which one. Andy Mack writes, Adventists are in an echo chamber, and when they hear pushback on their beliefs, they freak out. Add this to the world is my enemy. They assume you are attacking them. Yeah, very true, Andy. I'm enjoying this program. I thought I was going to do the quick 15-minute chat about that. Tick my box that I've had the 3 shows show up. But boy, some of your comments have just been so erudite. That's why I love reading the comments out, because I waffle. I said to Christopher Minden out the other day in our chat, and remember, it's after midnight for me. I said to him after I'd ranted for 5 minutes, he just summarized what I said literally in 15 seconds. I said, yes, that's why I like having people on the show, because I ramble and there's little gems in there if you're patient to listen. But most people in the comments and people I interview are so good at articulating what I'm thinking and trying to say in very concise sentences. So I love it. Thank you. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. And Dr. C writes, I believe the more oppositional to the world, perhaps the closer we are to God's love. Yeah. But just keep in mind that word opposition, when that person said, God be glorified through you and your ministry, Peter, even if it is in opposition to the word of God, not opposition to him, opposition to the word of God. That is such a bold claim, don't you think? I think I mentioned earlier, he has requested to rejoin. I hope that if you do, you're watching. I would love an interview and to just chat about this stuff. I think it's important. What do I know? An old man. Derek, the church must have hurt you somehow, and that's why you're leaving. Oh, yes. Yeah, I hear that one constantly, says Derek. Yes, they love that. And don't you love how the Adventist apologist leans into an almost whisper? The church must have hurt you somehow, and that's why you're leaving. And the implication is that, yeah, as soon as you're hurt, you run, you can't cope. You're a weak individual. Therefore, whatever you say isn't valid, I'm afraid. That's why I'm not playing that video. I got a little bit mocky. I can't help it. I'm doing it now. I'm not mocking. It just seems funny to me. Go and watch The Life of Brian. It's hilarious. And I think it has a healthy go at Christians. There's nothing wrong with laughing at yourself. Boy, these are such good comments. Why are they so determined to be the only ones? I don't know. But I feel like you just said it, Peter. They turn it back to us being broken. Yeah. Benny V writes, oh, thank you. You make sense, Peter. The go-to standard response is, you are bitter. You are bitter about something that happened to you. Just keep playing the ball. You are doing well. Thanks, Benny. Appreciate that. Oh, this is a good one. Andy Mack. When you have the gospel, you don't care when Christ is going to return. Wasn't Frank Merendino's talk amazing today? Season 12, episode 6. Go and watch it. And he raised this point that the sign of Jesus being revealed is that the community tends to gel and grow and expand and be more loving and more caring. And that if a community can do that and live out these teachings of Jesus, that is the sign of Christ on the earth. Not, the sign isn't that there are a people, a community of people that are keeping the law. And this is where it gets complicated, because people say, well, are we doing away with the law? Didn't Paul say the law is important? Yeah, but when you realize that the focus is on building the loving community to reveal Jesus' character, you set aside that thought of becoming that really commandment-keeping group of people that are vindicating God. You lose sight of that because it's no longer the focus. And I love what Andy said there, that when you have the gospel, you don't care when Christ is going to return, because you know the kingdom of God is already here. I added that a little bit, Andy. Hope that's okay. And Adrian writes, it is very hard in the current world to not worry about the time of trouble. I think it's what a lot of groups feed on. Yeah. Like my great-grandma in 1895 writing that letter to her son who was at war. The signs, the time of trouble. So if you've been infused and marinated in this thinking, it's coming any day, there's a time of trouble, it's going to be hard. Well, how are we going to survive it? We're going to have to keep the Sabbath, even though it's illegal to do so. We might go to jail. We might get killed. Ted Wilson points out that, I don't know if it's his personal opinion or something Ellen said, that you might even be called upon to give your life for keeping the Sabbath. It's a pretty serious claim. But when you're marinated and baked in this concept of imminent return, time of trouble, imminent return, time of trouble, will I go to jail? Will I betray my family? Will they betray me? you start to look for the trouble everywhere. You start looking for the signs all the time. And look, the world has got all sorts of troubles, that's for sure. But if you can find the kingdom of God here on earth, I think you can more effectively help situations where there are troubles, and where you can't, there's always some way you can support the areas that are being victimized by the troubles. Donate to Doctors Without Borders, or there's all sorts of things you can do, and you can build up your community. And thank you guys for building this community. I really appreciate it. I feel like we're putting into practice, if we can, this idea of accepting each other in spite of our varied views. If you're an agnostic, you're welcome here. If you can only find your way to the common ground center and the teachings of Jesus, that's okay. If you're totally abandoned, given up all hope, you're welcome here. If you're a real hard-hitting, Bible-bashing fundamentalist, you're welcome here. You are. But expect there to be some opposition and discussion. That's all right. I'm sure that many of the people that I really like and get on with in this group, that we have some really different views and beliefs. Oh, Derek has asked, have I tried to get any of the leaders of the Love Reality on the show? Yeah, if it's the group I think it is, there are kind of two groups that have a similar name. And Nikki Carlton, if you're watching at a later date, can you let me know in the comments? You introduced me to some members of, I think it was Love Reality. And yes, they agreed to come on the show. They were cautious. I challenged them. I said, if you truly believe you want to shine your light brightly, don't be scared of what people think. And they agreed. And then, silly me, got sidetracked and woke up one day and thought, oh, I haven't followed that up. So I do plan to do that, Derek. And DRC says, and yes, I was hurt, and my parents and multiple individuals in my family. Life is full of hurt, but there is a lot of damage when people use God to justify their bad actions. Yes. Yeah, I'm totally fine if Ellen White was flawed and made mistakes and was human. Totally fine with that. But when she uses messages from God to justify her claims and her actions that sometimes weren't that wholesome, they were normal human actions, but when she said, oh, but God told me. It's one thing to be a flawed human individual like all of us, but then to say, hey, but God's giving these messages to me that are especially for these end times. What we have had years to learn, you have only a few months. Well, I'm going to try and wrap this up in the 1 hour, and that is fast coming up. So I really want to thank you guys. Don't feed the pirates. Now, don't feed the pirates. Is this Stephen? We started working out a time, and I got sidetracked with this trip away. Can you please email me again? I think I've even penciled in next week for an interview. If this is Don't Feed the Pirates and it's Stephen. Oh, sorry, did I reveal? Well, you're coming on the show, so it's going to be revealed anyway. And I might be wrong. It might not be your name. But yeah, please send me another email. And Don't Feed the Pirates has said, pastors in the SDA organization who stay and don't believe the doctrines are shameful. Yeah, Don't Feed the Pirates. I think you're someone that we would both disagree quite a lot on theology, but I think we agree on this notion that I remember when I was a school teacher teaching special education at Avondale High School, we got a fax, this is back in the early 90s, that said to all Adventist employees, teachers, pastors, administrators, if you don't believe truly and faithfully back then it was 27 fundamentals, we'd prefer you resigned and left the church. So when Don't Feed the Pirates says pastors in the SDA organization who stay and don't believe the doctrines, that's shameful, that's what church leadership thinks too. That's what the traditional Adventists, the original Adventists, believe too. And many of you that are the liberal, progressive, revisionist gospel Adventists, I know you don't believe a lot of these doctrines. And I'm not even saying it's shameful that you're staying. I'm not saying that. But I think what would be nice is that if you ramped up your revisionist activities by simply, boldly saying publicly, and I have a reason for saying this, boldly stand up and share this special kind of Adventism that puts Ellen White further back in the bus, that highlights the Sabbath is a great day of rest and spiritual connection, but it's not salvific, that maybe 1844 is providential, not supernatural. There's a whole list of other things, the health message, which came from some pretty murky waters. I say this, I challenge you. I don't think it's shameful for you to stay if you've thought it through. I challenge you, though, to speak boldly because of people who are in the Adventist church that want to experience this Adventist gospel that you're talking about, this gem that I believe Des Ford really nailed. Excuse any potential puns, but he, between Martin Luther and Christ, but he really articulated well. If you get to watch I've posted it, it's a recording of him, October 27, 1979, his famous Spectrum talk. It really defines the good things that Adventism could have grasped and become. So, yeah, if you're an employee, particularly at a high level, and you don't believe the doctrines and you stay, I do think that's shameful. But if you're a member of the Adventist church or even pastoral elder, have a role of leadership, enjoy being in the church, and you don't believe some of these doctrines, that's okay. But keep in mind that if you don't try and revise and progress and become more biblical in your belief and approach, a movement that therefore allows the younger people growing up in it and people coming into the church to not get to hear this Adventist gem. They don't get to hear it. They come in, they're raised in it, and because you're all quiet and we're behind the scenes, we're doing stuff. If you're not shouting it loud and proud, they're not going to hear about it. And guess what's going to happen? They're going to stumble into some of these pitfalls of Adventism, some of these doctrines that aren't, in my humble opinion, biblically based. And if they are, they need to be better defended. Okay, so Don't Feed the Pirate, still waiting on a date to be on. Had I penciled one in and then that kind of got shifted? I apologize for that. Shoot me a quick email reminder. And Dr. C, DRC writes, pastors are human too. I totally agree. That's why when people felt that my 7 questions and 7 more questions interview with Rodrigo, a few people felt I was trying to say, oh, well, you just shame them and to suggest that they had to be more than human. I'm glad for the opportunity to express that that is not the intention. The intention is to show that the system is making them inhuman, unhuman, not human. Of course, they're still human, but it's forcing them into a position where they will struggle with these ideas, but they can't express or speak. They can't boldly claim some of the good Adventist gems. They can't revise it. But DRC says, pastors are human too. My deceased pastor brother struggled his whole life, but I never knew how much until he was gone and I found his journals. It's been hard, but he died in peace. That's good. And you should start a magazine called Signs All the Times. Well, thank you, everyone. I will bid you all a good night. It's well after 1:30, nearly 2 a.m. here, and we've had a good hour discussion. And so I really appreciate the comments, and great to see you all here. I hope you've enjoyed the program, and I look forward to reading more of your comments once the program's finished. And don't forget, once the program's finished, it's harder to find the live comments. So things you really want to say, cut and paste them in a few minutes over there on YouTube. Catch you all. We'll see you next week. I will be home. Program's running as normal. I cannot remember who's on, but anyway. Till next time, sleep well. Have a great day. This is me and him signing out.